It always cracks me up when the wait bot claps for me. But listen, we are waiting for people to come into the room, and I am just going to go ahead and get started because there's always a replay. And I just want to make sure that we stay consistent on our Thursday power half hour right here on Fireside for Coaching, Cocktails, and Conversations. I am Lolita E. Walker. I am a certified life leadership and executive coach. I'm also a power speaker and a poet, author, podcaster, you name it. I am probably doing it, but it's all in a realm of really powering women to stand in the power of their greatness. And then I work with organizations with the same premise, but really to drive clarity, confidence, and commitment. So today, actually, I am talking about being an only at work and what that feels like, what that looks like, and how you can stand in the power of what I like to call your pause. Okay. So, I was going to have a guest today, Kanesha, and I'm hoping that she still is able to come by. I don't know. I haven't heard from her, but I pray that it is on her calendar to come by and we can really chat some magic today. But she's so super powerful, and it's power when you can talk about someone when they are not here. But she's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and so am I. But she's also a business owner. And in her work, she's really doing healing through her bear therapy. And I was hoping, it's called Therapy. So you can look that up on your own. But if she's able to come in today, she'll talk about breaking barriers as a Black woman and what that looks like in her small town, but how she's really speaking loudly there. And now it's really all across the nation. And I just wanted you guys to be able to hear that. But in the meantime, in between that, I wanted to talk about being an only woman. Oftentimes, particularly, this is Women's History Month, so we have nothing but greatness to chat here. Also about being an only African American woman in a number of situations. I'm an engineer by trade, and oftentimes I found myself in situations where I was an only woman. And now I think that it's probably more prominent to find women engineers, but there'll be several projects that I will work on. And I was the one that was down on a manufacturing floor where it's packed with women doing amazing things. But sometimes as a minority woman, you have to step up a little bit differently, lean in a little bit differently, listen a little bit differently. And that is what I was able to do. So I wanted to leave you with a couple of things today. During our power hour. Hey, Stephanie. I wanted to leave us with a couple of things today that I wanted to leave us with. If you're ever walking as an only in that particular situation, know that you are not an only. Right? There's someone else in the world that's going through what you are going through in that moment, but you stand on the power of your greatness. And that is what is so exciting. So Stephanie, thanks for joining. We are talking, I got myself started because we are going to have a replay that so many folks are going to listen to. But in the meantime, in between time, I wanted to talk about being an only. And if you ever feel that way, whether it's a woman, we're in Women's History Month, or you're 40, inside of a space, or you feel like you are the only one who has a certain thought process inside of a space, then it's so important for you to really sit in this pause right here and remember what your worth is, remember what your strengths are. And during this month, when I was coming on here every Thursday for this power half an hour, I think one of the key things is making sure that you know your worth, right? And the cool thing about that is that oftentimes we don't know what it is, but when we choose to ask about it, then we show up differently and intently. Today, I had an opportunity earlier today to have folks listen to this poem, and this poem was called Dear Silence. And inside of that poem, it talked about how sometimes we have to sit in silence in this uncomfortable place in order to make ourselves more comfortable. And sometimes it's when you assess and you remove emotions that you're able to walk, talk, and behave differently. Hey, everybody who just came in the room. Today here, I come on Thursdays at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm here only for half an hour, and I like to call it a power half an hour, right? This power half an hour. And today we're talking about, have you ever been an only inside of your space? And if the answer is yes, then what did you do in order to kind of shape yourself to sit in the power of your pause, lean in on your strengths, and walk, talk, and behave differently? And I talked about this power woman who is coming to the table today, and her name is Kanesha, and she said she's here. So let me look through. Kanesha, why don't you text me and just let me know where you are? Well, I don't think she's in the room. So maybe she needs to get a link. So 1 second. Oh, she said, I hear you. Okay. Well, I don't see you. You can hear me, but I don't see you. So I see Deanna. Hello. Demetrius, Will, Randy, Jose. Hello. Jenny, Whitney. I see you, Steve, James, Stephanie, and myself, and our wait bot, who's always here giving me so much amazing support. So if you can hear me, why don't you just raise your hand to come up? Right. So hold on a second. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I don't. 1 sec. Okay, hold on. I just don't see you, Kanesha. I know you can hear me, which is super amazing. Okay, hold on. Thanks, Stephanie. Stephanie always comes to the rescue.
Hey, I'm just trying to help you out. Lolita, is she already on Fireside? Has she been accepted into the app?
She said that she can hear me.
So if she is not yet, quote unquote, approved on Fireside yet, she'll be able to click a link and watch you and hear you, but she won't be able to participate. She won't be in the audience,
Oh,
which is
here.
part of why I think do you see her?
Oh no, that was you. I think. Wait, hold on. I see. Okay.
Because she needs to actually request access to the app, Lolita, and then get onboarded and get the text just like you did that said, "Hey, welcome to Fireside Download," right?
Oh wow, no way. She's
Yeah.
we've been working this for a couple weeks, but no problem. So, Kanesha, if you can hear me and you don't already have access to be able to come here, then don't worry. We always have a plan B. Thank you so much, Stephanie. We always have a
Of
plan B.
course.
So as I continue to talk, Kanesha, if you wanted to pour in or if you wanted to leave something, just text me. And because I get it, I can talk about it right here. I'm so sorry because you bring so much power to the stage and definitely wanted folks to meet you. So I think the question or what I wanted to leave folks with is whenever you find yourself as an only in sometimes when you find yourself as an only or you're sitting in a place where you don't feel recognized or you don't feel you feel like you're alone, is to recognize that somebody has walked this path before you and really to stand in the power of your strengths. So you might be saying, well, who are you to be, sharing this stuff? What have you gone through? So let me talk to you all about who I am. I'm Lolita E. Walker. I am a certified life leadership and executive coach. I'm also a power speaker. I'm a motivational speaker, TEDx speaker, and I also am a podcaster and an author and a poet and all this amazing stuff. But I own Walker and Walker Enterprises, and the intention of that there is really to help women. And I work with organizations too to drive clarity, confidence, and commitment to really show up differently. But a piece of showing up differently is to recognize the strength that you stand upon. And oftentimes we don't think that it's in the power of our pause or in our silence, right, that we are able to maneuver, but it's really in that time of your most be free space that you're able to be your most creative you, because sometimes you have to get uncomfortable to become comfortable. Right. If you have any questions, come up. And Kanesha, if you can still hear me, one of the reasons why I had Kanesha on this month that I've been doing these power half hours right here on Fireside is because she is such a power player in her space. And what she is going to talk about is how she has been an only African-American woman really paving the way inside of her space. But she's also the owner of therapy. And she has these bears. She probably is going to do this way more justice than I am. So she has these bears that really offer this therapeutic. She said, yes, she's on the wait list. Oh no. Okay. No worries. We're going to knock it out. So let me know through a text, whatever you would like me to share with the folks. And what I want to share today, because I'm all about people leaving with tangible tips and tricks. So if you feel alone, if you feel in a space where you really are not standing on your strengths, what are some things that you can do? The number one, the first thing you can do is really write down what strengths you possess. And by the right hand side of that, after you write your strength, I might say I'm organized, but what makes you think that? Like, who told you that's true? What are you doing to demonstrate that? Okay. Then ask a manager or a client, depending if you're an entrepreneur or you're working in a 9-to-5 job. Ask, What is one strength that you know without a shadow of a doubt that I have? And then don't forget the piece about asking them why, how have I demonstrated it? And then ask a loved one. So a spouse, mother, father, or somebody that's really close to you. And the power of doing these three, I always talk about Strength Street from my first book, The Intersection of You and Change. But the power of doing that is that becomes a powerful affirmation when you add I am in front of it, which I am is a declaration to you, for you, by you, that strength. And the beauty of doing the declaration at the back end of that is really because sometimes our limiting beliefs in our head want to remind us that that's not true. And you can have that internal dialogue and say, well, hold on a second. It is true because I know that I'm organized. I know that I can get this project done because I'm demonstrated it before, because I'm able to, let's say organized was the one. So I am organized because I am able to sort out and align tasks in an order that people can understand it, readily understand it. If that is yours, then own it. And as you walk, talk, and behave during the courses of your day, when you get disheveled and when chaos feels like it's surrounding you, you can always come back to that power and you can say, I am organized and I do it for everybody else because I help them align their tasks. But how am I doing it for me? Right? It's always that piece of how we show up for other people all the time, right? All the time. I know I'm not the only one. All the time. And then that piece, we're not able to do it for ourselves. But what if we had the mindset to do that? And Kanesha, if you're still listening in, I'd love for you to tell me when was a time when you had to really find the inner strength and leverage that inner voice so that you can stand in the power of your strengths. And if there's anyone here today, if you would like to come up, right? If you would like to make yourself vulnerable and share, I would love for you to do that. Just go ahead and raise your hand. Come on up. All right. The next piece. So that was one. Love to leave you with tangibles, and we only have 15 more minutes. So let's get this power half an hour to work for us, right? Yes. The second piece of what you can do if you feel like an only is really try to surround yourself with people who really are going to push and support you. So those people might not look like you, especially if you are an only. But where are the people who not only have influence, but possess some type of empathy for where it is that you are and have already seen the successes that you are making inside of the role, right? Where are those people? Where are the people when you look at them, you say, wow, they possess a skill set that I would love to have. They are tapped into a network that would be unbelievable for me to be a part of. Lean in and on those people, because as I talked to Ramon Ray, I did an interview on my podcast, Coaching Cocktails and Conversations, this morning, a live feed. And he was talking about being a celebrity CEO. And the first piece of that is to be the celebrity CEO within an environment that you have created with the people around you, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Oh my gosh. I don't know how to, I hope I don't go off, but I hope you guys can still hear me. And let me just come back to make sure you guys can still hear me. Can you guys still hear me when I do that? Oh, good, good, good. Okay. Oh my gosh, so good. All right. So Kanesha wrote to me and she said, I remember being the only, as an African American woman, being the only in ed tech. It has been so imperative to get in the mirror and do a mirror check. Yes. I want to pause right there because what I was saying to you guys about leveraging the power of your strengths. Stand in the mirror and do that work. That mirror check, that reminder of who you are, that affirmation to stand up a little bit taller and power yourself, fuel yourself before you walk, talk, and behave in your everyday is so important. Then she goes on to say, my daily messages in the mirror weren't always positive, but in being the only, I had to speak to myself daily and say, you can, you are, you will, and you are enough. Oh, I love that. And sometimes that's so difficult to do because you're not always treated as such, right? Let's just talk about going into the office and you're inside of a meeting, because this happened to me before too. You're inside of a meeting, you give this grandiose presentation, you practice, you study, you didn't know how they were going to react, and you have this bomb presentation that's ready to go. And then there's somebody around the table that says exactly what you just said and then gets recognized for it. Have you experienced that? I'm sure you have. So it happens all of the time. And as I go into corporations and I speak inside of corporations, I hear, yes, yes, Jose or Jose, either one. Sometimes I don't know, pronounce the J. Some people pronounce the J, some people don't. But what I will say is that when we see that behavior, right, we can, if the person's unable to or doesn't possess the courage as of yet to be able to do that, we can say, Like, hey, Lolita, that was such a great point that you made. And I wanted to pile onto that with X, Y, and Z, right? We have the ability to speak out of silence when someone else's silence might be handcuffing them. And that's something else to know, particularly in Women's Month. Side note, I did a talk earlier in the month for Women's History Month, and I talked about bias. I talked about these four considerations when really thinking about bias and witnessing bias in the workplace. And I bring that up because sometimes when you're an only, you feel as though the world is looking at you and peering at you on all aspects. Keep on showing up. Keep on showing up, right? Kanesha says, you briefly mentioned the importance of allies, those who don't look like you, but will be there to call you out. Yes, find those people. And I want to reiterate as she finishes her piece right there. Oh my gosh, I love this figure it out way, right? There's always a plan B when we can't get Kanesha on the stage. If you are just joining in, Kanesha was my amazing guest today, and she has been an only. And we really wanted to dialogue with you guys about what are some things that you can do right now that you can take control of. And she's is still on a wait list for Fireside, so we're leveraging our text capabilities so that her voice can be heard right here on this stage as well. Find those people. Yes. And sometimes, let me tell you the juiciness of it all. Keep on showing up. Keep on doing your work, right? That's in the leadership. I think I talked on here one day this month and talked about leadership in this lead ladder, right? L was layering your leadership. E was educating and empowering. A was adding to the collective. But D is doing your work, then delegating and disappearing and knowing that you don't have to take on everybody's task. But when you know your strengths and you know how you show up, you know where you excel, then your work begins to speak for itself. So sometimes these allies, they actually find you. They actually find you because of the work of how you're giving into action to the bottom line of the corporation or the business or the transformation that you are leading. And then they start talking on your behalf. Find the people, then the people will find you. Why? Because you show up. Why? Because you are not deterred by the extra that you can't control, right? Oh, I hope this is making sense, and I hope it's powering somebody today as well. You know, as we also lean into this being the end of Women's History Month. It's not over till it's over, and that is today. Make sure you reach out to a woman and you tell her what she's done to impact you. Right? If you're at work, just walk by somebody and say, Happy Women's History Month. I want to just tell you a strength that I see in you. Keep on showing up in that thing. Right? How powerful is this? Sometimes as women, we don't tell other women what we see. And then sometimes as allies, as men, or however what your pronoun is, or however you see yourself, we don't tell power ones. We oftentimes don't tell people what we see in them and what we recognize in them, right? But we're often so easy to give feedback that might not be so positive. So let's still talk about the opportunities, but let's talk about strengths today. And if you can tell one woman today what power she has exhibited that you have seen, know that will impact her greatly. I want to read to you guys, and again, if you want to come up, please do. I'm a podcaster, so I'm used to just talking and talking and talking, y'all. So I just keep on going. One of the things that I did want to read to you all is Dear Silence, because oftentimes we find ourselves in silence, and it's too bad that I can't. I guess I could play it. I don't know if y'all will hear it though. I don't know, but you can go to my LinkedIn. I just posted it if you want to hear it with the music, but I'll just say it right now, okay? All right, hold please. I know, I didn't think about doing it until right now, you all. Okay, hold on. Dear Silence. Can I just tell you about the power of Fireside while I look this up? Is that I was here, I think the first time I was doing a show, Coaching Cocktails and Conversations, there was this amazing woman. Oh my gosh, I hope she's here. But there was this amazing woman, and she said she heard me read Dear Forgotten Me. And oh my gosh, it touched her in a way that she did a whole live on Dear Forgotten Me. It was so good. And I met her right here. So yeah. I think she's here. Hold on. Deanna. Yes. Right? Yes. And I'm gonna be on her podcast. I mean, not her podcast, her Fireside right here. I'm so excited. So you guys gotta make sure you come to that because it's gonna be so amazingly powerful. Yes, and yes. The reason I tell you that is because showing up is so important. Continue to show up because your gifts will make room for you. And when you know that, you behave and walk differently. Here's Dear Silence. Dear Silence, can we talk? I hear you so loudly in my head, expressing what I am willing and unwilling to speak aloud. This cloud of consciousness is deafening as it hums a flat line in line with my thoughts and my actions. They are holding me captive. Please free me, dear silence. I stand on this stage, speechless for an audience of many that may carry burdens for some and a blanket of innocence for more than just one. In the still of the night, my eyes are open, but I hear nothing. I see nothing in this darkness that fills the night, that blinds my sight, that offers me this pause. May I close my eyes and feel the power that is in this pause that you have offered me. Thank you, dear silence. You've offered me a stillness that I have been so afraid to take on. I will trust you. I will grab your hand and walk beside of you as I leap, dear silence. Please be unapologetic in your approach because I appreciate all of you. Dear silence, can we talk? This is to you from me. I love you, Lolita. So as we round out today, thank you so much, Stephanie and Deanna and Jenny. Wow, I appreciate you guys. Randy, Stephanie, oh my goodness, so much. I hope that there was something inside of there that reminds you that as an only, as you show up, as you come into not feeling supported, that know that you're not alone. And there are people that are around that you can tap into and you can walk with increased clarity. Always remember your why. Like, why am I here? Why is this job so important for me? Why am I standing in this thing right now? And allow that to power you to the point that you understand your why and that you know the strengths you're standing on. Now, everything I'm telling you is building this foundation. And I love that Kanesha was able to add in the fact that tap into the people. You can do it. Find those sponsors around you, right? Affirm yourself. Do that mirror work is so important. You know, some people say, oh, I think that's so cliche. Well, try it. I remember the first time that I looked in the mirror and I only said the words, I am Lolita Emmanuel Walker. Literally. Tears just streamed down my eyes as I looked at myself in the mirror to do just that. So start with your name. Start with your name and look at yourself in your eyes. Far too often, we're only inside of the mirror and we're only inside of the mirror for a split second and we don't give ourselves the permission to really pause right there. Put on a timer, stay for 3 minutes. Try it. It's amazing. Hey, Deanna.
Hey, I'm sorry you're having technical difficulties. It's so disappointing because I wanted to hear her. Um, some people use Instagram messaging too. So just think of some other roundabout ways, but we can talk about that off of this.
Okay.
But the mirror work, I mean, I made an acronym because I know you're really fond of acronyms.
I am.
And I made an acronym for mirror work because it is like the first time I told myself that I loved myself in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
it was ridiculous. you know, just the bawling crying. And so I made an acronym and it says me, open, real, raw, opulent, and resplendent. And I kind of had to tell myself that a little bit. Like, okay, this is me just being open, real, raw, opulent, and resplendent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then go talk to myself because the mirror work is for real. So I get it, and I know people think it's cheesy, but it's not. It well, maybe it is, but it works, right? And so I know I don't have my mic on right now because my I have my granddaughter, but I just needed to jump up and say that when you started talking about the mirror, and I'm super excited about our show coming up too. So yeah,
Yeah,
all
well, tell
right.
the people about it so they can put it on the calendar.
Yeah, so I think we are on the 19th. So my shows are Tuesdays at 7. It's called Laughter After Trauma. And really, I come from the area of intimate partner violence or interpersonal trauma. But really, I think all of us have experienced some level of trauma at this point. And all I'm doing is going out and sharing with people stories from others, like I think that at this point, we all could just use some positive um, reinforcement. And so the idea behind this show is just to highlight exactly that, right? The purpose is just to showcase everyday people who have triumphed in the face of trauma, and then provide hope, awareness, connection, and community around that, and just share the laughter after. So it just allows people to, you know, come into that community and say, hey, I might not be quite there yet, but this shows that I can get there. Because if I
Yes.
can, you can, and they can, and anybody can.
Absolutely. Thank you for the work that you do inside of this world. You know, one of the things Kanesha just reminded us too is that if we have children, we need to start having them do mirror checks and mirror work. And I think that that's such a reminder that it's more than ourselves, but our children are looking at us. So make sure that as they see you do that, open yourself up and be vulnerable, because they see us as these superhumans that don't cry or that don't go through all of these emotions because we're so strong, but allow them to enter into your space to experience that vulnerability and understand what that looks like. She also says, that is my company, the importance of stories. Our mission is to heal the hearts and minds through books and bears, one child at a time. That is Bearapy. So if you haven't heard of Bearapy, please Google it. Bearapy, Bearapy, like bears and therapy mixed together, and find the passion of who Kanesha is. And unfortunately, she couldn't get on video with us today or open her mic because she's still on a wait list for Fireside. But what we know is that there is always a way. And we did that through our text today, and we made sure that her voice was absolutely heard in this space. Deanna, I want to thank you for raising your hand and coming up, and really sharing honestly with your voice.
Thank you. And add her to our show.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, let's get her a VIP link, add her to the show, and she's more than welcome to come up and talk. You know, I love having a nice conversation. So bring her in over there, and then set her up again over here. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. And I'll also have to come back for coaching cocktails and conversations when she gets approved and she is in the space, so that we can make sure that we bring her voice and her light to the table as well, because her work is so super freaking amazing. Listen, everybody, I want to thank you for coaching. I can't even get my words out, for coming to Coaching Cocktails and Conversations. And since Deanna is here, oh, she's gone. But one of the things that we do around here on my podcast, anywhere that you find Coaching Cocktails and Conversations, is really leave you with a cheers. So I will leave you with a cheers right now. And then I'll say what I call the Be Free Creed, so that you can power your day and remember that you are greatness where you stand. Today, we talked about being an only. We talked about how to gain support, how to garner support, how to lean in. We talked about Why can't I talk today? We talked about, support and recognizing that you stand on the power of greatness. I oftentimes say, I am the greatness that others have yet to see. And sometimes we don't yet see our greatness. So when you recognize that it's other folks' loss, they haven't seen the greatness in you, but you're going to show up every single day to increase your clarity, confidence, and commitment, it makes such a huge difference. You can keep in touch with me at lolitawalker.com. I would love for you to tap all the way in, and then search Coaching Cocktails and Conversations, because it's everywhere. And you can see me on video with some super cool people. The cheers that I have for you. I've got to be tired. The cheers that I have, right? Cannot get it together over here. The cheers that I have for you today is that I want to leave a cheers to every single person inside of this room for not only showing up, for staying, for listening, for making Fireside a choice for you to really authentically connect with new people, right? Without judgment, with just hearing them and seeing them and really pulling in the nuggets that work for you. Coaching is all about leaving you with a couple nuggets to challenge your thinking. Cocktails is all about celebrating the greatness of who you are. And then Conversations is the juiciness of what we had today. I want to thank Kanesha that although you weren't able to get on the screen today, we will be back on Fireside to make sure that this audience is really going to see and to hear you. I thank you for doing Plan B without hesitation, because sometimes we got to just flip a switch to make sure that our voice is still being heard. Recognizing that voice isn't always verbal, that it can be written like Kanesha and I did today. It can be written that you gift a letter to someone. It can be painting. It can be all types of things, singing, any artistry, walking around. There's so much that can be done. But what I want to share with you guys today is that you are greatness. And here's the Be Free Creed. Believe in your strengths and open your mind to now explore. Expect moments to have meaning, which will propel you to soar. Face your fears head on, yet hold them at bay. Then release what is not progressing you on today. Experience the unexpected, which you would normally let pass by, and then embrace the renewed you who is now free to fly. Be free, you all. I have got to rest my Aaliyah.